but I want to present each team's history, what to expect from them in 2023, and why you should be hyped. I've already made a video about V3 and Fennel, and now it is time for Sengoku Gaming. They are relatively a new organization, only formed in 2017, with League of Legends being their first esports title, and they are already household names in other titles like Wild Rift. They are slowly spreading into racing games, PUBG Mobile, Apex, having the most popular Japanese streamers, but still, their roots are in League of Legends. In 2018, they got into the LGL Challenger Series, but just barely failed to get into promotion. This team had two big names though, the AD carry Zerost, who even though leaving the team after the split, he came back to Sengoku Gaming in 2020 as a streamer and now one of the biggest names in Japan. And someone named IVY, which doesn't tell too much until you see him. Yes, that's Boogie before his name change. Despite not getting into the promotion, they eventually got a spot in the 2019 franchising. Since they are a newer team with not as much history as like DFMs and Roscoe Jester / Fennels, I think it's okay if I go into their years a little bit more. The pre-2021 and after rosters are completely different, but even in those, you will find names that you can come across even today. Since they couldn't compete in 2018 and only got the spot in 2019, is that a surprise that the original roster is completely different from this one? But yeah, they had big names. For example, Rhina was playing for the whole 2019 and they got Blank in 2019 summer, who has stayed to the team until 2020. Their placements in 2019 weren't the greatest. They couldn't get into playoffs in spring, and in summer they were far ahead from the top 5. And then 2020 happened, somewhat of a super team. They got Upperman, who we talked about before in the Fennel video, and joining Blank was Pyrian, who both were in SKT before. They also had Yutari, one of the best AD carries at that time, who funnily, after going for coaching a little, he came back and played in the Academy League with Sengoku Academy, and they won. And they also got Enty as their support, who is still their support this year. As I said before, they were kind of a super team, but as with almost everyone in the LGL, they were the best, except for DFM. Both in spring and summer, they finished second in the regular season, and in playoffs only lost to DFM. Though as you know, in 2020 summer, DFM actually didn't win LGL. Not that it makes the loss less painful, but just saying. And then 2021, huge rebuild, only Enty stays in the team. The top laner was Paz, who we talked before in the V3 video, and eventually even retired on Sengoku Gaming. So, breaking news! I've already recorded the whole video when the news came out that Paz is actually not retiring. Also joined Crash, who was an extremely hyped LCK prospect, but eventually, for every loss, he was the one who was blamed in his team. Before joining LGL, he played in 6 different regions, so he definitely wanted to prove himself here. And their AD carry was Gango, who was similar to Crash, tried himself out in LCK, China, but couldn't really find a success. And of course Enty, but we're gonna talk about him later. Even though in spring they got into playoffs, they couldn't get the finals, and in summer they ended almost last. Alright, 2022, we're getting into the present, stay with me. So going into 2022, the year before, there was this jungler called Once. He was playing in Burning Core, and despite not having the greatest results with the team, he looked really impressive individually. And 2022 was the year when he finally got his LGL residency. So Sengoku Gaming did a very interesting move. They kept Pez and Enty, and after getting Once, he went for 2 Korean imports called Jett and Honey. Jett just came off from a not super great split with DRX in 2021, even though he was about middle of the pack in the LPL before. And Honey, who actually debuted in the LGL, in just 2021, he had a very impressive run with Axis. And now comes the interesting part. They had 3 Korean members on the team, plus Pez, who actually wanted to be an English teacher if it wasn't for League of Legends, and watched so many English and Korean streams that he is fluent in English, Korean, and Japanese. And Enty, who spent 3 months in Korea to learn the language and try out for Africa Freaks. So we had 5 people who speak conversational level Korean. And we know from interviews,
コミュニケーションも、まあ結構いい感じに、 韓国語が結構多いんですけど、パズと僕は韓国語聞き取れるんで、それで韓国語でコミュニケーションし合ったり、ちょっと難しいとこは、ワンスに、翻訳してもらったりなんですけど、ほぼ韓国語でやってますね。
And yes, most of the communication was in Korean. So no surprise the team looked unstoppable in 2022. It's a trend, except for DFM. In spring regular season ended second behind DFM, and in playoffs lost to DFM in the finals. And this summer, okay, in regular season they technically got first, but it was because of a match with a very controversial bug and very controversial remake, but still DFM beat them in the finals. Now, we're in the situation once again, when if you just look at the score, you may think that DFM was clearly the better team. I mean, they 3-0'd the finals as well. But it is not true. Even in that 3-0 finals, Sengoku Gaming was pushing hard DFM and they had to work for their victories. So while, yes, DFM won both splits, it was not guaranteed by any means. And while this all happened, Sengoku actually made a very weird change in summer. I think my light just died. There you go. They loaned out Vital from Naoshim, and he split time with their star AD carry, Honey. And Honey found less and less playtime as we went into the season and didn't even play a single match in the playoffs. Not that Vital was bad in any means, but it was mostly just a side grade in the eyes of most fans. It was a weird decision, and it may get even weirder. There are some rumors that he's going to join CGA. Hi, it's me again. And it's officially announced. Don't you like when teams announce the roster literally 24 hours before their first match? And 24 hours because that's the very last deadline from LJL. If there was no rule for this, would teams just not announce? Whatever, back to you. And with all of that, actually, Sengoku has very few changes in 2023. First of all, one of the biggest changes is Pez, their top laner. It's not true. Do you remember what I said? No, it's Pez. According to the announcement video, by the way, which you can see translated on my Twitter, Eguto wasn't really ready for top lane yet. I'm gonna talk about him in the video and I'm gonna tell that he was a PUBG player and started playing mid lane. And he actually didn't even play any top lane game professionally so far. This would have been his first season. And as Pez said, he's gonna be the link until he's ready for top lane. So yeah, I don't know how many times I talked about Pez retiring and Eguto being the new top laner. But just remember this little segment. Wait, so this is the part where I would talk about Eguto, but now I need to talk about Pez. I don't have a script, so I'm gonna go freestyle here. I mean, alongside Abby, he was one of the longest standing top laners, so obviously it's a big deal that he's still gonna play. This Sengoku team should be pretty strong. The jungler is still Once, staying with this team for the second year. And same goes for Jett, who has been a shining star of the team last year. And now with Arya also coming back to the LJL, their battle will be legendary. Their AD carry is a surprising new join, LokeN. After this whole AD carry debacle last year, seems like this year Sengoku Gaming just landing on one single AD carry. People probably know him from his time in JDG, and after taking a year break, now he's ready to prove himself in the LJL as well. And as I mentioned in my Fennel video before, a little fun fact about him, his brother, Fennel's top laner Tenna, is also gonna be played in the LJL. And to round this up, Enty stays as Sengoku Gaming support. He is the oldest standing member of this team, staying with SG since 2020. And funnily enough, before, he played 4 years for another OG LJL team called USG. So he's probably the most loyal support. But no matter USG or SG, the curse of not breaking into the first still remains. So now with their new top laner Eguto, the question is how their communication is gonna be. What I just said about communication, this kinda just solves everything. With Pez being back, now you have 5 Korean speaking players and a Korean coach. So there probably not gonna be any communication issues. Eventually they are planning to sub in Eguto, so we're gonna see how communication is gonna go. But for now, don't listen to Pastina. It's not Eguto, it is Pez who's playing. Or does it even matter if you can communicate with your top laner? Will LokeN regain his glory days of the 2020 JDG? And how will Jett fare against Arya, who was dominating the LGL before Jett? There are a lot of questions. And the answers are not far away. Sengoku Gaming is the new team, already achievements in other esports, and finally wanna have that trophy in the LJL as well. I really hope I can publish this video before the LJL starts. But even into the season, I wanna continue making this series until I make a video of all the 8 teams. Don't forget to support the players. And for all the information, follow my Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I think those are the only ones I have. And see you on all of those platforms with a lot more content. Bye-bye!